All right. All right, what's up, y'all? So this is part 5 of was segregation harmful or was inclusion helpful to the black community? Okay. So last I stopped at just kind of analyzing the differences in community resources, right? And so I'm gonna tie it back into like segregation, right? And I say that because I was saying how, we look at how the Asians, they stick together. The most Hispanic groups stick together, right? Um, and they go off into their subgroups too. Like you have Dominicans, yada yada, right? Um, then we have Africans generally stick together, right? And yes, they are us, but that's a conversation for another time. um, then we also have, the white people generally stick together, you know, and so on and so forth, right? Now, I'm not saying that black people, we don't have our own communities. It's not what I'm saying. But back to the topic of segregation and how in the clip originally, D.L. Hughley was saying how white people always want to segregate themselves from black people and or other minorities, right? Through laws strategically over time, right? And so this, with me bringing up and comparing the black community to some of the other communities, right? I think the black community, the black race has faced an immense amount of disparages against us, right? And they are specifically put in place to bring us back more and more and more all of the time. Okay? So the point is that they're gonna dangle the bait in your face. They're gonna give you enough reach to get it, and then they're gonna try to tear it down and or take it for themselves. Right? Then they'll create a law to push you steps backwards. So that's strategically, historically, excuse me, I don't know why I keep saying strategically, but strategically, historically, over time, what has happened to the black race and or community in America. A vast majority in comparison to other minority groups. We oftentimes get angry at the fact that the white race, and white races, because they have their subgroups, often want to be segregated from other minority races, especially black people, right? But is it really a bad thing, right? Now, when we speaking lawfully, I don't think it's a good thing. But when we speak of community, is it really a bad thing, right? And I say this because you always, it's a saying, right? You always know where home is. You understand what I'm saying? You always know where home is. And if we are segregated in communities, meaning we are building, growing, flourishing, productive in our own communities, and we do have a segregated section in the city or in the county or the state or whatever, we always have a home to go back to, right? The only thing is, observantly speaking, our people, our dollars, our fashion, our knowledge is being taken out of our communities and included in other people's, right? Does that give the individual who is a representative of the race, of the community, access and resources? Yes. But does it actually give the community and the race itself access and or resources? That's the question, really, right? I did a rap about 5 or 6 years ago when I was talking about how people don't come back to the community and invest back into the community, right? We're fighting for inclusion. So that's where our focus is. We want to be included. We want to be there. We want to be in that spot. We want to be there, that title. We want to be a part of that, right? And that's where our focus is inclusion. But when it comes down to the segregation of your community, do we ever come back and invest in it, really? So that's where that conversation of us in the segregated times in history, we invested back in our communities. We stuck together. We built together. We were productive and progressive together. But when we started focusing on inclusion, which means we're looking on the outside of our community, we're looking on the outside of ourselves, wanting something that someone else has, and we already have it, right? We are taking the resources out. We're taking ourselves out. So is inclusion helpful and or harmful? Was segregation better or was it worse? Who's to say? I don't know. All right, part 6 coming up. We finna wrap this thing on up. All right.